The oldest Monster Hunter games had some very clever ways that they were able to convey fear before the quest began, before an impact landed, immediately after that impact landed, fear for the remainder of the hunt, and inconvenience from taking damage, as well as fears that persisted after the quest, creating a game that fully immersed you in layers of fear that made your decisions feel like they really mattered. But most of that is for another video, and today we're only talking about the middle, which is the fear immediately after taking a hit. Historically, Monster Hunter has had two means of creating fear in the moments immediately after taking a hit. The first is through combo attacks, but I'm even going to skip over that for now. The main subject of this video is health depletion animations. In the first and second generations of Monster Hunter, when you took damage, the information was not conveyed to you immediately, and your health bar would deplete slowly, creating a brief sense of mystery as to how much health you had lost. For the most part, I thought this was awesome. I had seen it in Pokemon, but to see it in a real-time game was intense. It made the monster's attacks feel so powerful, as you helplessly watched it cascade down. There were times I literally whimpered and begged it to stop going down. It felt like it mimicked adrenaline masking how hurt you were after an injury, and the weighty slowness heavily contrasted the instantaneous snap of fainting. Karting literally hit different back then, because the instant shock stood out so much compared to the slowness of everything else. But these health depletion animations had major flaws, and I'm not surprised they got rid of them. I think the biggest flaw is that Monster Hunter is a game about hunting monsters multiple times, and once that fear and uncertainty is worn off, these animations can awkwardly linger, rubbing your little mistakes and worse, the game's unfairness in your face. And while I love the early game difficulty of first gen Monster Hunter, because I felt transported to a dangerous, mysterious world, Capcom has decided that that is not marketable. So a mechanic that spices up the danger and mystery in the early game doesn't seem to be what they're after. And while the simplest idea would be to have the health depletion animations come back, but only for high rank and master rank monsters until you've defeated them, I wanted something deeper. So here are two proposals, the first of which is more realistic and would be very easy to implement, while the second would be very exciting, but it might be too spicy for a mass market. But I'm too excited not to talk about it. The marketable one would actually be basically the opposite of the old school method, where now normal hits are communicated instantaneously, and attacks that seem like they could cart you are communicated with depletion animations. Imagine that you no longer instantly cart, and nearly any hit, regardless of whether or not you have flinch free on, that puts you below 25 HP knocks you over, and your health bar starts cascading downwards. But you are given the opportunity to mash a button, and every 2 times that you hit that button results in 1 HP that you don't lose, meaning that you might have the willpower, the guts one might say, to stare down death and say, "Not today." Different attacks could move at different rates, probably 30 to 40 HP per second in high rank, and probably a baseline of 60 HP per second for master rank. But for some powerful attacks in master rank, I would want there to be hit lag, where your health bar freezes, the edges of your screen blur, and everything gets quiet before your health bar starts shooting down at a whopping 80 points a second. And most importantly, make it so that life powders can combat the depletion animation, meaning your feline or other players have an opportunity to try and save you from a death blow. And if you are saved, then the game should put the name of that player or palico on the center of your screen. Adding that hope and doubt and suspense to the delayed revelation of how much health you lost, or whether or not you're going to faint or be left extremely vulnerable, will add a thrill to high and master rank, while creating endless scenes of screaming and pleading from players and streamers. This will allow Monster Hunter to raise its emotional tension even higher than anything achieved in the older games, or the new, and the potential to heal a teammate on the verge of fainting would make Monster Hunter a much more exciting bonding experience in multiplayer. Though I'm sure a bit of game balance would need to go into life powders, like making a monster target people who heal disproportionately and become immediately enraged and target whomever stole their kill. Also, it will probably be necessary to force sword and shield users to sheath to consume life powders, I don't know, or some other balance tweak, or possibly make it so that special herbs or max potion ingredients are necessary when combining life powders so that they feel expensive. And then there's the second idea, which is much more game changing and less likely to be implemented, but I really love it. Rather than only some monster attacks doing the health depletion animations, they all do, and the continual potential for uncertainty comes from your armor. Attacks will no longer just be calculated against your entire defense, but rather every monster attack will be determined to deal some level of either pierce, slash, blunt, and/or elemental damage, and every piece of armor you are wearing will have higher or lower defense for those attributes, like how chainmail and plate armor protect against different things. For visual simplicity's sake, I like to imagine the rainbow sharpness spectrum on each armor piece. So each piece of a matching armor set may have high green blunt defense and low green pierce resistance and low blue fire resistance, making it a spectacular set for hunting Rathalos, but its orange slash resistance and red water resistance make it very scary when a Shogun Cianatar interrupts the hunt. An additional source of fear and uncertainty comes from the fact that every time you take a hit, the game rolls a dice and decides whether you took damage to your helmet, chest, gloves, belt, or legs, and it chooses the stats of that one piece of gear to defend against the physical and elemental damage of the attack to determine how much damage you take. This way, different monster attacks could be scary in an incredibly organic way. Maybe a monster only has one pierce attack, so you spec'd out to maximize blunt and slash resistance. Now, that one attack is the scariest one. Maybe you chose boost with insane armor skills, but weak defense in other areas. Thus, every time you take a hit, you beg the game not to hit your feet. Maybe you spec'd out for a hunt perfectly, and you feel the satisfaction that comes from the knowledge of your preparation. This way, we really think of what the monster's moves are, meaning what type of damage each one does to you. You can think about and plan around them in a much more interesting way than simply fractions of a health bar. This idea would be absolutely game-changing, and would probably necessitate a dramatic simplification of armor skills, or else armor would be insanely complicated. But I think it would be worth it. This could even extend to your weapons. For example, a great sword, where the handle is cosmetic, and you can carry 3 blades into battle, and swap them out. Probably a pierce one, a blunt one, and a slash one the first time you fight a monster, and you're trying to figure out its weaknesses. But after that, you might know what is best to use, and bring a blunt one to break its shell, and switch to a pierce one to do more damage. Another time you might bring that slash one to cut a tail. Possibly blunt ones don't need to be sharpened. Maybe pierce ones, instead of being sharpened, eventually break off. They might do more damage and be better at inflicting ailments, but fixing them actually requires monster bones or ores. I don't know. Now I'm just throwing stuff out there. That's the video. Bye.